What's a good word, my nerds? Sarge here with Working Adult Gaming. We're coming at you today to discuss whether or not any modern day MMO has a shot of becoming the official WoW killer. Today we're going to look back to the early days of World of Warcraft and see what originally got players so hooked on the game. Then we're going to analyze whether or not it's even possible for a modern day MMO to use similar gameplay and mechanics to capture WoW's audience. If you're a fan of the MMO genre in general, it's likely been a long time since a game has come out that you really felt was groundbreaking or different. It seems like most modern attempts to steal WoW's player base are just cheap knockoffs and rip-offs of WoW and its top competitors. We're just reskinning the same game over and over again, and the developers are sitting there wondering why they're not able to capture a large portion of WoW's audience. So I'm going to dive into this video a little bit and talk about why that is, that it's hard to steal the audience from WoW with similar gameplay features, and where I think the future of the genre may go, and what I think would have to be done to actually see long-term success in terms of player counts in any type of similar game. The first and seemingly biggest hurdle that all modern-day MMOs have to overcome is to provide that familiar experience that players have become accustomed to, but then to also somehow find a way to be fresh and groundbreaking. It's really difficult because in WoW's incredibly long existence, it's provided so many different experiences for its player base. For a lot of players, World of Warcraft was their first MMO experience. For me, not only was it the first MMO that I had ever played, it was the first time that I explored a game world that was that size. I was truly taken back by the size of the world. Back before the days of flying, you had to either fight through mobs or dodge them completely just to make it to the other side of a zone. So, traveling from city to city really felt like a long and worthwhile journey. I also remember it like it was yesterday, how exciting the gearing and leveling processes were. Acquiring powerful gear that set you apart from other players, and topping the DPS or healing meters was so satisfying. Nowadays, it seems like games just hand out what they claim is exotic loot in care packages, or they reward you just for time played or money spent on the cash shops. Back in the early days of WoW, if you had a raid tier weapon or piece of gear, other players knew that you had downed some difficult content to come across those items. The problem is, at this point, all of these mechanisms have been repeated ad nauseum in other games. The player base no longer gets excited about large maps to explore. The goal of becoming an elitist with top tier gear is merely a sentiment of the past. Content has been dumbed down so that the casual masses can complete the hardest content in 30 minutes. As a result, those who played during the early days of World of Warcraft have kept chasing that nostalgia by trying other similar games or classic servers. But the same feelings of wonder and excitement never seem to return. These problems aren't new, and current WoW suffers from the same issues. So why is it that WoW's player base, over all these years, has remained so loyal? In my opinion, there's two main reasons why WoW players have been so loyal to WoW as their primary MMO over the years. The first reason being that, frankly, people have just put too much time into the game to walk away. You know, they've put literally thousands of hours into their main WoW characters, and at that point, they're so heavily invested, it doesn't make sense to walk away to create a similar character in a similar game that plays out in a similar environment and start from scratch just to accomplish a lot of the same things that you've accomplished over, 5, 6, 7, or 10 years of playing WoW. It also doesn't make sense for those players to leave WoW's community. They've built relationships with their guild mates and have become friends with other players in the game. And if they move to another game, now they're going to have to start from scratch and meet new players online and start a new guild and form new alliances. And it just really is a lot of hard work that's really, in my opinion, not worth the effort when you're just going to get a very similar experience to what you already have inside of World of Warcraft. So for this discussion, I like to look at some of the games that are already popular today out on the market, like Guild Wars 2. It's probably an objectively better game than World of Warcraft, at least in terms of graphics and gearing and combat systems. If you were going to hop on for 20 minutes or an hour for a quick boss fight or a quick dungeon run, there's no doubt that Guild Wars 2 is a better experience. But even though Guild Wars 2 has a respectable player base, why is their player base so much less populated than World of Warcraft? I think it's simply due to the reasons that I just mentioned. Even though it's a solid game and does a lot right, and some things certainly better than World of Warcraft does, it doesn't do enough different to justify ditching your WoW account with years of playtime. So this brings me to some of the games that I've seen in the works, games like Ashes of Creation. I don't know enough about the game to give an educated summary of all of its gameplay mechanics, but I have watched its creator commentaries, and I worry that it's gonna kind of see the same fate as Guild Wars 2. Not that that's not something to be proud of, to release a game that has, some type of sustained success, but I don't think that they're ever going to see the numbers anything close to what World of Warcraft has seen. The development staff of AOC is focused on gameplay and mechanics that WoW and other MMOs have kind of let slip through the cracks. They seem to have a handle on what the player base enjoys and what the hardcore MMO fans feel has been missing. But when I watch the gameplay reviews, I see very similar Holy Trinity style classes and very similar gameplay features of like an early World of Warcraft. Now surely, being a game that's going to come out I think in 2019, Ashes of Creation will be far more refined than World of Warcraft. The graphics and the gameplay will be a lot more crisp. But I still don't think it's going to be enough to get players off of WoW and into Ashes of Creation in the long term, or in great numbers. But that's enough of what I think today, you guys. What do you guys think is the future of the MMO genre? Do you think a WoW killer can possibly come in the form of a similar style game? Or will it have to be something more outside of the box? Let me know in the comments. As always, you guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in and listen to this commentary. If you haven't already, please smash the subscribe and like buttons. Until next time, nerds, Sarge out.